Dear students, so our today's topic is comparative anatomy of vertebrates, and we are taking up digestive system, and we would be discussing the comparative account of digestive system in different classes of vertebrates, out of which, before we start with that, let's discuss that what is a digestive system and what is the role of digestive system. Digestive system, it prepares the food to make it available to all the body tissues at cellular level and in form of energy, which is required by the body cells for the purpose of growth, maintenance, reproduction, etc. And for this purpose, for this role, it is also called as alimentary system. So the function of the alimentary system or digestive system is mainly production of energy, and how it does so by different. There are different parts in the digestive system which have different roles to play, such as food is ingested in the mouth, where it is masticated by teeth and it is finally temporarily stored, let's say, in the stomach. And when it goes into the stomach, it is churned physically, and then it moves down into the next part, that is the intestine, where it is chemically broken down by the enzymes of the digestive glands, and there only it is absorbed into the blood and lymph, and finally it is assimilated into the body tissues. So that is how the food is ultimately it provides energy at cellular level, and whatever is left, that is eliminated as undigested matter. So food simply passes through the large intestine, where bigger molecules are broken down into smaller insoluble molecules are broken down into soluble molecules, and so that those soluble molecules are made available to the body tissues for the purpose of performing different functions. So next is after which we would be talking about the basic plan of digestive system. So if you look at the basic plan of digestive system, it is general morphology of the digestive system. It is, let's say, it has two parts, alimentary canal and digestive glands. Alimentary canal, it is complete in all the vertebrates, and it opens with mouth, ends at the anus or cloaca. So if you look at the VS of vertebrate of embryo, what you see that in this you can see mouth at one end, and on the other end it has the anus. And the embryo, as you know, that this portion, the green portion, is actually ectoderm, and at the anterior end, that at the mouth region and as well as at the posterior region, it involutes, it lines, it gets in and it inlines the mouth as well as the anus or the cloaca. The anterior part of the gut, which is lined by the ectoderm, is called as stomodium, whereas posterior part of the gut, which is lined by the ectoderm, that is called as proctodium, whereas the middle portion, it is basically drawn from, or it is derived from, the archenteron of the uh, embryo, that is endodermal in origin. So it is endodermally lined. So the endodermal part that gives rise to different organs associated with that of the gut, such as this is the pharynx, which shows the pharyngeal pouches, whereas it is also showing the it also showing anterior part, ectodermal line part is showing the hypophysis, whereas thyroid, it develops from the ventral part of the pharynx. Then mouth leads into mouth or pharynx, that it leads to stratum part, which is esophagus, and then it expands to form the stomach, which is the storage portion of the body of the gut region. From the ventral part of the esophagus, you can see the lung warts rising. And here, this portion is the small intestine, and this portion is the larger intestine. From small intestine, originate such as liver or pancreas, whereas from posterior part of the intestine itself, that is originating the urinary bladder. So anterior part, the gut is basically divided into three parts, that is stomodium, middle portion which is endodermally lined, it is called as mesodium or mesoderm, and posterior part is called as proctodium. Now we look at the histology of the alimentary canal. But before we go into the histology, we'll just recapitulate that gut is complete. First part, oral cavity, then is pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. And anus is present in the cyclostomes, bony fish, and adult mammals, except for prototherians. Whereas in all others, it hindgut it leads into cloaca. So stomodium is also called as foregut, proctodium is called as hindgut, right? It is foregut, while proctodium is hindgut, and mesenteron or mesodium, it is the midgut. But as such, there is no clear demarcation between all these three. Now we look at the histology of alimentary canal. To study the histology of alimentary canal, the wall of alimentary canal, it varies in thickness as well as structure in different regions. But for a particular to study a typical alimentary canal of any animal, we would be taking certain, let's say, we would be talking about the alimentary canal of the intestinal wall, which consists of four parts, that is visceral peritoneum, one, to start from outer side. Okay, we would be starting like this. If this is the intestine, this is the TS of the intestine, we'll start from outside, from this side. So outermost is the first part, visceral peritoneum. Next layer, this layer is the muscular coat, right? And inner to this is submucosa, and still inner to this is the mucosa, right? So if we make a larger diagram of it, you would be seeing something like this. It is thrown, this is the lumen of the intestine, it is thrown into villi. So this is mucosa, right? And this is submucosa, and outer to which is the muscular coat, right? And outermost is the visceral peritoneum. So if we magnify, let's say this much portion only, we'll be magnifying this much portion. What you see, you'll see this diagram, right? So how we discuss it one by one. Outermost layer, as I said, this is visceral peritoneum, right? This layer is the visceral peritoneum. It is simple squamous epithelium of mesodermal origin. It is attached to underlying muscle layer, right? This side is the lumen of the intestine, right? And this is the outermost side. So visceral peritoneum is of mesodermal origin. It is lined to underlying muscular coat by a thin sheet of connective tissue. This sheet is of this is a thin sheet of connective tissue which is called as subserosa, right? And the visceral peritoneum, the role is it is protective in nature, and it is continuous with the dorsal mesentery that suspends the intestine from the parietal peritoneum that lines the entire body wall, right? If we imagine that this is the body of the animal, and it has the let's make it like this, let's make it TS, this is the body, and this portion is basically the coelom, right? This is the coelom is lined by parietal peritoneum, and in the center is the intestine, or this is the dorsal side, and this is the ventral side of the body. So this intestine, it is the outermost layer is the visceral peritoneum, and here is the parietal peritoneum. So it is hung, it is not it is hung by means of mesentery, which is dorsal mesentery in the abdomen, in the cavity, entire body wall. Dorsal mesentery basically is a double layer of peritoneum with a thin sheet of connective tissue between. And the second layer is the muscular coat. This is your muscular coat. Muscular, the one which I have made with the yellow color. It is composed of unstriped muscle fibers, which is differentiated into two layers. Outer layer, outer one is the longitudinal layer. This one is longitudinal layer where the all those fibers, they run parallel to the length of the intestine. Whereas inner layer is of the circular muscle fibers, they encircle the intestine. The fibers of both the layers are actually arranged in spiral manner, and turns of spiral are wide in outer layer, whereas they close in the inner layer. Some fibers from each layer, they may penetrate each other into cross over the other, and alternate contraction and contraction of circular and longitudinal muscles of intestinal wall that produces the intestinal movements. Then there is a network of nerve cells and parasympathetic nerve fibers which is present between the longitudinal layer and the circular muscle layer. This is called as the myenteric plexus or Orbeck plexus, right? And there is similar kind of there is a network of nerve cells and fibers from sympathetic nervous system that runs between the muscular layer, that is between the circular muscle fiber, and the next layer, that is third layer, that is submucosa. This has different name. It is called as Meissner plexus. So I'll just give you the spelling of it is Meissner's plexus. Okay, this is also called as submucous plexus. Submucous plexus also. One and the same thing. The next layer is the submucosa. This layer is submucosa. So submucosa, it is the strongest coat of intestine. It consists of dense connective tissue, and it also has certain elastic fibers and small islands of adipose tissue. And furthermore, it has rich supply of blood vessels and lymph vessels. This is a lymph vessel and can have the lymph vessels also. It has the lymph vessels, and these are both the lymph and blood vessels. They send fine branches into the mucosa as well as to the muscular coat, down into the muscular coat also. So how you can see, these are, and this is one of the lymph vessel, and these are the arteries and the veins, right? And they are sending the branches into the upper layer mucosa as well as down into the muscular coat. So next layer is the mucosa. Furthermore, in the submucosa, important thing that there are certain intestinal glands which sink into the submucosa. They are sinking. This is one of such as Brunner gland. These occur in the duodenum. And then next is the mucosa. Last layer is fourth layer, that is the mucosa. And mucosa, it is raised into circular folds, and it has innumerable finger-like projections which are called as the villi. The folds and villi, the purpose is they increase the total surface area of the intestine, and that quickens the absorption of the food. And mucosa further, it consists of three layers. What are these three layers? Out to begin with, outer one, muscularis mucosa. See this one, the golden and the green I have made. These are this layer is muscularis mucosa. This layer, muscularis mucosa, I have drawn it like this. So muscularis mucosae, it is very thin sheet of unstriped muscle. Important is that the muscles, whatever you have studied, they are unstriped type in the gut. Then they also it has the connective tissue. It consists of outer longitudinal muscles, the green dots I have made, these are longitudinal muscles, inner is circular muscle fiber, and it also sends certain muscle fibers into the next into each of the villus, so that that would cause the movement of the villus. These movement of these muscles would cause the movement of the villus, and these would further help in absorption of the food. Its second layer of the mucosa is lamina propria, right? This part, lamina propria. Lamina propria is composed of reticular connective tissue. It receives the submucosa, from submucosa, fine blood vessels. You can notice here fine blood vessels which are already present in submucosa. These are being received in lamina propria as well as the lymph vessel. That is called as lacteal, right? And they extend into the villi, and they contain also, it also contains small nodules of lymphoid tissue and nerves. You can notice these are the lymphocytes, and they they provide they play a very important role in immune system. The last layer is the surface epithelium of the mucosa. Surface epithelium, it consists of single layer of columnar cells, which are let's say region which are supported on thin basement membrane. So this is basement membrane, and the cells are of two types: the narrow, which are absorptive cells, and there are certain broad, which are called as the goblet cells. Goblet cells, they the absorptive cells, they wear, such as these, if these cells are absorptive cells, they wear these microvilli on their surface, right? And the purpose is to absorb. Goblet cells, they secrete mucus, and mucus spreads over the inner surface of intestine as a thin film, and it protects the epithelium from digestive enzyme. It also lubricates the intestine for easy movement of food. The smooth muscle fibers in intestinal wall, they are under involuntary control of the autonomic nervous system, and that includes those Arbeck or Meissner plexus, and their contraction cause intestinal movement, that is the peristalsis, whereas which moves the food through the intestine. And there is also another movement, segmenting movement and pendular movements, which knead and mix the food with the digestive juices. So other parts of the alimentary canal are stomach. Stomach is where this muscular coat is of different, somewhat differentiated into three layers. Outer of the longitudinal muscle fiber, like this, it would be longitudinal muscle fiber, and then in the middle one is the circular muscle fiber, and there is another layer, inner one, that would be like this, oblique muscle fibers, right? So that is the difference. Esophagus is covered by fibrous coat, which is replaced by visceral peritoneum near the stomach, and muscular coat is distinguishable into three layers: outer longitudinal, middle circular, and inner again longitudinal. So that is the difference between different parts of the gut. So alimentary canal is well suited for its function. Its musculature mixes the food with digestive juices, propels it along. Its glands, which are associated, they help in digestion of the food. Large surface area of the intestine ensures the proper absorption, etc., etc. So finally, the absorbed food is carried to the liver and other parts of the body for assimilation. Associated with these other digestive glands, which are salivary gland, liver, pancreas, and as I have already discussed, they originate as outgrowths of the alimentary canal. And microscopic digestive glands are the gastric glands and intestinal glands. So that is all for now.